Hi, I'm Nick, 31, and I never thought I'd be the guy reporting a parent to Child Protective Services, let alone my own sister-in-law. But the moment the pediatrician's face went cold and asked to speak with me alone, I knew everything was about to blow up. It all started on what should have been a normal afternoon in Mabrook. Max, my older brother and golden boy of the family, had called in a favor. He was juggling a high-stakes investor pitch, and Cassandra, his wife, had pottery class. Classic. So could I come watch their daughter Ruby for a couple hours? No big deal. I showed up with a smile, asked where my favorite 8-year-old was, and Max waved vaguely upstairs. Just a little bug, he said. Cassandra says it's going around school, except Ruby wasn't just under the weather. She looked gray. Her hands were clammy. Her voice was so weak it barely lifted over a whisper. My tummy hurts again, she told me, clutching her unicorn plush. And I'm so tired. Something was off. I mean, really off. I'm not just her uncle, I'm also a nurse. And this wasn't a cold. It was chronic and suspicious. She pointed to her lower right abdomen, the kind of pain spot you don't ignore in kids. I kept my face calm, asked a few more questions. What did she eat? What hurt the most? Had she told her mom? She had, repeatedly, and Cassandra's answer? Toughen up. But the more Ruby talked, the more alarms went off in my head. Wraps and smoothies with special ingredients? Stomach pain every day? Dizzy spells at school? Then came the kicker. And Avery, am I dying? Nope, not on my watch. While she watched, frozen downstairs, I called in a quiet favor to a lab tech friend. I need something tested. Food sample. Discreetly. Because that suspicious wrap from her backpack and bagged it. And I was already considering something no one in the family would forgive. Going behind Max and Cassandra's backs, and taking Ruby to a doctor myself. The next morning, I showed up at Pinewood Elementary with a forged smile and a forged excuse note, both easier than I thought they'd be. Ruby lit up when she saw me, even in her pale, sluggish way. Are we going on another adventure? She asked, tilting her head like a hopeful puppy. You bet, I said, taking her hand. Dr. Brandon Foster, a pediatrician and college friend of mine, squeezed us into his pack schedule at Riverside. I didn't tell Ruby what we were really doing. Just that Dr. Foster was super gentle and might have cool stickers. She nodded solemnly and whispered, "Will you hold my hand?" The kind of question that doesn't leave your chest for days. As Brandon examined her, asking gently about her symptoms, her food, her tiredness, I watched his face. The way it stiffened. The way the warmth drained out of his voice halfway through. He was putting the puzzle together the same way I had, only faster. Outside the exam room, he pulled me aside. How long has this been going on? 5 months, I said. Maybe longer. Her mom says it's all in her head. His lips tightened. I want a full blood panel. Toxicology too. We need to rule out heavy metals, chronic infections, and, he paused. You think it's poison, I said. I think there are a lot of possibilities, he replied carefully. But her symptoms: localized abdominal pain, fatigue, neurological signs, they're consistent with exposure. And I don't like the sound of these special smoothies and how scared she is to skip them. My phone buzzed. Cassandra? Where is Ruby? You answer me right now, or I swear to God I'm calling the police. I texted back. She's safe. We're at a doctor. She's getting the care she needs. 3 dots. Then, you have no right. I'm her mother. Took a deep breath and typed. Being a mother isn't just biology. It's making your child feel safe. And she's terrified of you. She didn't respond after that. 20 minutes later, Brandon came back holding a manila folder. His hands were trembling. Avery, I need to speak with you privately. He shut the door, sat down, and said words I'll never forget. It's arsenic. Ruby's showing signs of low-level chronic arsenic poisoning. Not enough to kill her, but if it continues. I closed my eyes. My hands went numb, and then he added, that food sample you brought in? The wrap? Lab just confirmed same substance. The special food Cassandra had been forcing her daughter to eat was laced with poison, intentional, deliberate, and it was time to call my brother, Max. Arrived at Riverside in under 20 minutes. Shirt untucked, tie half on, eyes wild. I'd never seen him look like that, not even when our mom was in the ICU. He barely parked the BMW before sprinting through the air doors like something out of a movie. "Where is she?" he barked, skidding to a stop beside me. "She's in an exam room," I said, rising. "With a nurse. She's okay." But Cassandra's name hit him before I could say it. "She's threatening legal action. She says you kidnapped Ruby. She's called my office 5 times. What the hell is going on?" I looked him in the eyes. "She's been poisoning Ruby." He stared at me, blinked. "What?" I brought him into the consultation room with Dr. Foster. Brandon didn't sugarcoat anything. He laid out the toxicology results, the exposure pattern, the evidence. And when he mentioned the lab-confirmed arsenic in Ruby's lunch wrap, Max's mouth dropped open. No, this Cassandra? She wouldn't. She loves Ruby. She's been making her sit at the table for hours to finish poisoned food," I said quietly. "She's been ignoring symptoms, refusing doctors. Ruby's been sick for months, Max." He looked like someone had taken a bat to his ribs. "But she said Ruby was just dramatic. That she made it up to get attention. She was getting attention." "All right," Dr. Foster added grimly. "From a mother who wanted everyone to see how hard she worked to keep her daughter healthy. A classic presentation of Munchausen by proxy." No, Max muttered, shaking his head like a dog trying to get water off. "She's not, she wouldn't," and right on cue, the doors burst open. Cassandra? Hair perfect, nails flawless, rage bubbling through her designer yoga outfit. "There she is," she shrieked, pointing straight at me. "That woman kidnapped my daughter." Behind her, a security guard struggled to keep pace. "Ma'am, please lower your voice. She stole my child. Arrest her." Max stood up, slowly, and what he said next: "Cassandra, what the hell have you done to our daughter?" The room went silent. Even Cassandra froze. Her eyes darted from Max to Dr. Foster to the security guard, then back to me. "I don't know what they told you," she said, shifting gears instantly. "But Ruby is fine. She's a dramatic kid. Avery's always trying to insert herself into our family. She has arsenic in her blood," Dr. Foster said flatly. "And we found the same substance in her food." Something cracked. For a split second, Cassandra's mask slipped. Her face flickered. Fear, then fury, then blankness. "You people are insane, Mrs. Holloway," said a new voice from behind her. A man in plain clothes flashed a badge. "Detective Lawrence Harris. You'll need to come with me. We have some serious questions about your daughter's condition." Cassandra crossed her arms, voice dripping with venom. "I'm not answering anything without my lawyer." "You'll have that chance," he replied calmly. "In the meantime, we have a warrant to search your home. Officers are already executing it." She went white, and then red, and then exploded. "You jealous bee," she screamed at me. "You think Max will choose you over his wife? You've always wanted my life. Just because you can't have kids, you think you can steal mine?" The whole room recoiled. Even Max looked like he'd been slapped. But I didn't flinch. "The blood doesn't lie," I said quietly. "And neither does Ruby. Get her out of my sight," Detective Harris said. As the officers led Cassandra away, screaming about lies and betrayal and ruined lives. I turned to Max. He was trembling. "I didn't see it," he whispered. "God help me. I didn't see it." The moment Cassandra was out of sight, Max collapsed into the nearest chair like the strings had been cut from his body. He didn't cry, not right away, just stared straight ahead, his face pale, mouth trembling slightly, like the enormity of it all hadn't quite landed yet. I sat down across from him. "Quiet. She made me feel crazy," he finally said, voice hoarse. "Every time I had a doubt. Every time Ruby looked tired or lost weight, or said she felt sick. Cassandra always had an explanation." "You weren't crazy," I said gently. "You were manipulated." He wiped his face with both hands. "And I believed her." Over and over. Dr. Foster returned, this time with the counselor from Child Protective Services. Ruby was officially under hospital protection until a custody ruling could be made. Standard in cases involving parental abuse. But she was stable. And more than that, Ruby had already told the hospital staff she wanted to stay with me and her dad. "She doesn't want to see Cassandra," the counselor said softly. "Good," Max whispered. The investigation moved fast. The next morning, the lab results came back with even more damning evidence. Ruby's blood work showed consistent low-level arsenic exposure over months, exactly what Brandon had feared. And Cassandra's browser history? Unbelievable. Searches like, how to poison someone slowly without detection. Symptoms of arsenic poisoning in children. Can smoothies mask metallic taste of toxins? Munchausen by proxy legal cases. It wasn't even subtle. Even worse. A raid on the Holloway house turned up a commercial-grade bottle of arsenic trioxide hidden behind the almond butter in the pantry. Guess what else was in those wraps? That afternoon, Ruby had her first chelation treatment to start flushing the toxins from her system. Max never left her side. He held her hand, fed her ice chips, read Goodnight Moon with a voice that cracked on every page. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I saw Ruby smile. She giggled today, Max told me later, watching her sleep, over a fart noise. I can't tell you the last time she had the energy to laugh like that. Her body's already healing, I said. Now, it's time for the rest of her. The trial came quicker than anyone expected. Just 3 months later. The case was airtight, and Cassandra's lawyer clearly knew it. Still, she pled not guilty and insisted she'd been set up by me. The jealous infertile sister-in-law trope. Real original. But the prosecution had receipts. Literal receipts. Every grocery purchase. Every pharmacy visit. Every late-night internet search. And Ruby's own testimony via recorded statement was quiet but devastating. How her mom would yell if she didn't eat the health wraps. How she'd sit at the table for hours. How she got so dizzy she once threw up in the school hallway, and Cassandra laughed and said she was just being dramatic. Max testified too. I'll never forget the way he looked at his wife on the stand. I loved you, he said, steady and clear. I trusted you with our daughter, and you tried to kill her slowly. With food. With love disguised as control. That's not parenting. That's evil. Cassandra lost it right there in court. Started screaming about how she was the real victim. How we'd all conspired against her. How Ruby was always a little liar. It took 3 bailiffs to drag her out. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. Guilty on all counts. Attempted murder, felony, child abuse, reckless endangerment, 18 years. No parole for the first 10. I thought Max would collapse again when the verdict came in. But he just exhaled. Like finally he could breathe. That night, back at his house, Ruby sat on the grass in her pajamas. Holding a sparkler, we let her light. Even though it wasn't any kind of holiday. "And Avery," she said quietly, "am I really going to be okay now?" "You already are," I said, wrapping an arm around her. The next few weeks were a strange mix of healing and heartbreak. Max officially filed for divorce 2 days after the trial. There was no fight. Cassandra's public defender didn't even contest custody. She signed over full parental rights in exchange for access to books, TV, and a few amenities in prison. The restraining order was permanent. No contact with Ruby. Ever. She tried writing from jail. 3 letters, all of which Max burned without opening. But then, there was the 4th letter. This one came through her lawyer. An apology. A request to talk to Ruby. To explain. She claimed she was getting help. That prison therapy had made her see everything clearly. That she wanted forgiveness. Max showed me the letter while Ruby played in the yard with her cousins. He didn't say anything. Just handed it to me with the look that said, "Tell me I'm not crazy for hating her guts." I read it. The tone was polished, apologetic, manipulative, in the way only Cassandra could manage. Beneath all the self-awareness was that same toxic undertone. "You owe me grace. Because I'm the one who suffered the most." I told the lawyer no, Max said. "But I wanted someone else to read it first. Just to make sure." "You did the right thing," I said. "She doesn't get a redemption arc just because she picked up a mirror. This isn't about her. It's about Ruby." He looked out at his daughter, now attempting a somersault and failing spectacularly in the grass. She laughed at her own flop. "Do you remember how quiet she used to be?" Max asked. "How small she seemed." "She's not small anymore," I said. "She's safe." He nodded slowly, holding his sweet tea like it was the only thing anchoring him to earth. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't taken her to the hospital that day?" "Every single night," I admitted. "And not because I'm trying to make myself the hero. I hesitated. I came this close to ignoring my gut, to trusting Cassandra's version. I nearly stayed in my lane. Max swallowed hard. I wouldn't have forgiven you. Neither would I. He turned toward me, and for the first time in years, maybe ever, his voice broke as he said, "You saved her life, Avery. You literally saved her." I shrugged, trying to downplay the lump in my throat. "That's what family's for." Ruby raced over then, sweaty and smiling, bits of grass stuck in her hair. "Can we make pancakes for dinner?" "Only if you're the head chef," I said. "Yes." She grinned. "With strawberries and whipped cream." Max laughed. "We're raising a tiny dictator. She gets it from her ma," I joked, and for the first time ever, the word mom didn't feel like a bomb in the room. That night, after she went to bed, Max told me something that made me sit up straight. "She remembers everything, Avery," he said. "All the nights at the table, the punishments, the smoothies. She doesn't talk about it much, but when she does, it's clear she knew, even if she didn't understand." I nodded. "That's going to take years to unlearn." "I know," he said. "But I also know this. She never flinches when I hug her now. That alone makes me think we're on the right path." And that was the word we kept coming back to. Path. Because this wasn't a quick fix or a clean break. This was a long, crooked road full of shadows, and every day we kept walking was another mile between Ruby and the woman who tried to poison her. 7 months later, Ruby wasn't just okay, she was thriving. The circles under her eyes were gone. Her laughter came easily. She was back in gymnastics and had memorized an entire dance routine to a Taylor Swift song that she performed at our Sunday barbecue, without a hint of shyness. Max had sold their old house. Too many ghosts. They moved into a new one, smaller, but brighter, just 10 minutes from me. Ruby picked out the paint color for her room. Sunshine Explosion yellow. Fitting. One afternoon, while we were watching her try to teach the dog how to jump through a hula hoop, Max turned to me and said, "I got another letter." I didn't need to ask from who. "She's asking again. Wants to apologize to Ruby. Says she's changed. That she's different now." I just looked at him. Max sighed. "I told the lawyer no again, and I told him if she tries to contact Ruby directly, we'll press charges." "Good," I said. "Let her get her therapy." "But Ruby doesn't owe her anything." He nodded. "Her therapist says Ruby understands more than we think. We've told her the truth in pieces, age appropriate, that her mom was sick in a way doctors can't fix, that it wasn't her fault. And how's she handling it?" Max smiled. "Better than me, honestly. She said last week, 'Dad, I'm glad you picked an Avery to be my emergency grown-up.' That hit harder than I expected. I didn't ask to be anyone's emergency grown-up, but I'll never stop being it now." We sat in silence for a while, watching Ruby fall over, laughing as the dog sat stubbornly inside the hoop instead of jumping. "She's okay," Max said softly. "She's more than okay," I replied. We both knew the truth. Ruby was safe because someone stepped in, because someone stopped minding their own business. And if you're reading this wondering whether you should speak up, let me tell you something I learned the hard way. The cost of silence is always higher. It wasn't over. Not really. Trauma never wraps itself up neatly. It lingers in the corners, shows up when you least expect it. Like the day Ruby flinched at the smell of almond butter. She was at my place, helping me prep sandwiches for a picnic. I opened the jar and her entire body stiffened. She didn't cry, didn't say anything, just went quiet. Eyes glazed, breath shallow. I swapped it for strawberry jelly without a word. Later, as we lay in the grass watching clouds, she whispered, "That smell makes my tummy hurt." I squeezed her hand. "Then we avoid that smell forever if we have to." That's what healing looked like now, not pretending it didn't happen, just learning what to do when it did. Max was in therapy too. At first, I think he only went for Ruby's sake, but over time, he started unpacking the guilt he carried like armor. The guilt of believing Cassandra, of ignoring signs, of choosing comfort over confrontation. "I used to think being a good dad meant protecting Ruby from the world," he told me once. "And now I know it means protecting her even from people I love." He wasn't the only one changing. I'd kept Cassandra's last letter, the one she had smuggled through an inmate friend. It was unhinged, full of bile and obsession. "You always wanted my life. You're barren, and bitter, and pathetic. But I'll get out eventually. And when I do, I'll take back what's mine. I didn't show Max. I burned it. Some poisons don't deserve to be stored, but I couldn't unhear one line. Barren women destroy what fertile women build. It stuck with me. Not because it was true, but because it was the exact kind of venom Cassandra had used for years to twist reality. To make me doubt my instincts. To silence me. Never again. That weekend, Ruby and I made a pact. No more scary secrets. If anything ever felt wrong, even if it was just a stomachache that lasted too long, she'd tell me. No matter what. Even if it's just a little thing. She asked. Especially then, I said. That's when the big problems start. She nodded solemnly. Okay, pinky promise. We locked fingers. And just like that, the cycle broke. A year later, Ruby did her school project on the person I admire most. She stood in front of her third-grade class, holding a cardboard poster with glitter letters and a crooked photo of me and her at the park. The title? My Aunt Avery, Who Saved My Life. I wasn't prepared. Max sent me a picture of the board before I saw it in person. Underneath the heading were sentences in shaky handwriting. She is a nurse. She is brave. She believed me when no one else did. She made me feel safe. She's my hero. I had to close my office door and cry for 10 minutes. It didn't feel heroic at the time. It felt like chaos and fear and second-guessing every step. But to Ruby, it was everything. Max is doing better too. He volunteers now with a group that educates parents about medical child abuse, especially rare forms like Munchausen by proxy. He says if sharing his story helps even one family catch the signs early, then maybe the pain meant something. Cassandra? Still serving her sentence. No parole in sight. Last we heard, she was petitioning the prison library to let her start a parenting podcast. Irony is undefeated. Ruby still has nightmares sometimes. But they're getting fewer, softer, and when she wakes up crying, Max is there. Or I am, or both. That's what she needed all along, someone who stayed. The truth is, no one ever thinks they'll be the one to blow up a family, but when the cost of silence is a child's life, you light the fuse, you take the blame, you become the villain in someone else's story. So a little girl can live long enough to write her own. And if you're ever in that position, if something feels off, if a child looks at you and says, "My tummy hurts all the time," and the adults around them won't listen, you listen, because I promise you, somewhere out there, there's another Ruby, and she's waiting for someone brave enough to see to believe to fight, even if it means setting the whole house on fire to save one child from burning inside it.